All right. Am I live? I think I am. Hold on. Shoot. I got my music too loud. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me lower this. Make sure my volume is muted everywhere. All right, guys. What is up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Open Matt Show. I'm your host, as always, Matt. And yeah, I got a good amount I want to talk about today. Um, Shoot. Sorry, guys. I wasn't really fully ready. Uh, which that's my fault. That's my fault. But there's a handful of things we have on the agenda to discuss. We're going to be talking about the results of UFC 326 and how wrong I was on that. I already got some people in the chat I see giving me shit for it, which is valid. I was wrong on that, so it is what it is. I got to take that. But yeah, we'll be talking about that. Of course, we're going to be discussing the UFC White House card that has finally been announced, the long-awaited card. Um, Pretty underwhelming in my opinion, but also it's not, weirdly enough, it's not that bad of a card. We're going to be talking about that and my thoughts on the general reactions to that. We're going to be talking about Francis Ngannou signing to fight with MVP Felipe Lins, the biggest fight of the century. Um, Also going to be talking about a bit of other UFC news, my UFC picks for this weekend. Not the most exciting card, but we're going to be talking about it all. So let's get right into it. First thing I want to start with is talk about um, my picks for UFC 326, aka the results of last weekend's card. I had a pretty strong opinion. Uh, Got me a good amount of views, but I was pretty adamant that Max Holloway is going to really fuck up Charles Oliveira. Now, hear me out. And you know what? Too. Also, nobody can give me too much shit because Oliveira was the underdog. Holloway was a favorite, so I wasn't alone in my thoughts. Um, but honestly, I thought Oliveira. I listen. I know historically Oliveira has done really well against guys like Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, for example. But I thought that was in the past. Honestly, even in those fights, Oliveira got hurt, and it's not like Max Holloway has one punch KO power, but um, he's very good at keeping fighters at range and striking at range. So I figured Oliveira's takedowns are not really smooth takedowns. He kind of like lumbers in. So I just assumed that Holloway would really make him pay by the time Oliveira would even get in close, but I was wrong. I was wrong. Oliveira ate his shots no problem and took him down and mauled him. Was it the most BMF way to win the belt? No. Is the BMF belt arguably dead? Probably. But you know, at that point in your career, you got to do what you got to do to win. I'm not trying to shit on Charles at all. Big Charles fan, but it wasn't the most entertaining. He did stand and bang with Holloway, and he's the one that hurt Holloway there, so that was pretty impressive. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't consider the fact that Charles would consider wrestle fucking. It just didn't cross my mind. Um, and yeah, you can't get them all right. I just got that one really wrong. As for my other picks on the card, I think I got them all pretty much right. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Um, Shoot, let me pull this up. So if I remember correctly, I had picked RoboCop. I knew RoboCop was going to knock out Ferreira, and he got good revenge there. A first round knockout to return the favor, as we all know. Ferreira knocked out RoboCop in the first round previously. Um, I think I picked Michael Johnson to beat Drew Dober, but as we all know, Michael Johnson's nephew was kidnapped by the gangster disciples. So if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, there's a tweet. Well, first there was crazy line movement for Michael Johnson and Drew Dober, worse than the Hernandez, or no, I think it was worse than the uh, was it Bulgarian fight? Bulgarian. It was worse than that one. Um, yeah, Isaac Bulgarian. It was just really bad, but they let the fight go on. However, there was a tweet earlier that day, way before the fight, that said Michael Johnson's nephew is being held for ransom by a gang called the Gangster Disciples. He will lose via second round TKO. And then it turns out he lost via second round KO slash TKO. Despite looking really good against Drew Dober, he was looking nice. He was looking slick. He was looking sharp. I thought it was going to be a vintage MJ performance, but You know, obviously, I can't really comment on that too much. I don't. All we know is like the rumors and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. That's a little suspicious. I feel like crazier things have happened. And fighters come from all different types of places. Who knows who they get mixed up with? Uh, I think there's a reason this fight was allowed to go on. Normally, the FBI or whoever would pull the fight. Uh, I'll just leave it at that in terms of my opinion. I think they let this fight go on for a reason, despite knowing why the odds were why they were, and perhaps someone's life was at stake or something like that. I don't know. I don't know anything, but eh, that tweet seemed to be coming from a place of general truth. I'll just leave it at that. I'm talking like I know something. I don't know anything, but I got this wrong. But again, it was for Michael Johnson's nephew, so I'm okay with that. Uh, Raw Font versus Raul Rosas. I had picked Rosas, and I feel like my pick on this fight went pretty much exactly how I thought it would. Uh, Rosas, his striking game keeps getting better and better and better. But honestly, I really do feel like he was rushed too quickly into the UFC. His striking game just isn't there. He doesn't have the confidence. He doesn't do damage really. He's really like good physically and all that, clearly. But I just wish they gave him a bit more time on the regional scene to gain confidence in his power and damage that he can give. Because it seemed like if it's not a walk in the park, he just spams a wrestle fuck, which is what he needs to do given his skill set and what he's good at. But it's just not the most entertaining. And I truly do believe once you get up to those higher levels, you need to have good enough striking, especially at 135. Um, that's just the truth. You can't get away with subpar striking. Maybe against a washed up Font, but hell, even like a year or two ago, I feel like Font could have really hurt Rosas if you're a wee bit younger, had some more pep in his step. Um, Rosas is really good. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I think he's a great prospect, but he needs to fucking grind in his striking and get some faith in his striking, truly, because man, I swear, like he was just wrestling in there. There weren't even attempts to punch in a lot of those exchanges. He wasn't trying to do damage. It wasn't a pretty look, but whatever. The co-main event, I had Kyle winning. It was a pretty close fight, I feel like, but yeah, I had Kyle winning. I just feel like he pushed the pace and just did more damage. I know a lot of people felt like RDR won, but if I'm being honest, it just felt like Kyle won. See, I know I gave RDR round 3, but I guess Kyle did have the takedown. I didn't realize RDR completely struck out Kyle the way he did, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have to rewatch it, but watching it live, I feel like it was pretty obvious Kyle won that fight. I could be alone in that, but um, that's what I saw. So, all right, let's talk about the main event. This is where I'm at. I already kind of talked about it a little bit, but I want to talk about it some more. Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway. I got this one wrong. Okay, I got it wrong. I'll admit that. I know that. Um, like I said, I didn't think Charles would wrestle fuck. I really didn't. I thought he would stand and bang, which I know that's fucking stupid, but it's a BMF title, right? I don't know. I know he was always hesitant on answering whether he would stand and bang in the middle, which it should have been. That was a glaring sign that he wasn't gonna do that. But that's my fault again. Uh, it just wasn't a good pick on my part. I just thought Max was gonna have a lot more pepiness, a lot more power, and it didn't transfer over to 155, not fully. Not like he ever really had it, but yeah, I really got that one wrong. I really, really did. I keep doubting Oliveira. Honestly, ever since the Ilya fight, I've been doubting him. I got that one right, but ever since then, I didn't pick him in the Gamrot fight. I didn't pick him in this one. I'm probably gonna pick him going forward, but I don't really know. As for what's next for these guys, I'm not too sure. Patty Pemblett's up there. See, I guess the real question is, are they going to defend the BMF belt again? Or are they going to, is UFC going to put it up for grabs? Personally, I don't think so. Like I said, um, I love Charles, but I feel like he kind of killed the defendability of the belt going forward. I mean, you know, he had to wrestle fuck to get it, and that ain't fully BMF. So, uh, hold on, sorry. Uh oh, uh oh, uh oh. Sorry, guys. I was reading an email. Apologies. Anyways, yeah, this was just a bad pick on my part. I fucked it up. I fucked it up. Uh, but it makes me feel better that I wasn't the only one. Holloway was a favorite, so I wasn't the only one who lost money slash credibility here. But congrats to Charles. I just don't know what's really next for him. Neither of these guys are fighting Ilya next. They both need probably like two more wins because they both got finished. Um, Holloway probably needs 3 wins now. The point is, this fight was it carried a lot for each fighter. Um, Pretty much whoever lost this one lost whatever title aspirations they had, and that was Max Holloway. Unless he goes on some crazy miraculous run, as long as Ilya is the champion, he will never fight for the belt. And unfortunately, the same goes for Charles Oliveira. Probably even more, even though he just won, because Oliveira got fucking colded pretty bad. So maybe Sarukian for the winner of the BMF. I wouldn't be mad at that. Although he hasn't proven it in the UFC necessarily. I would say Sarukian's a BMF just because, you know, he's fighting everyone everywhere. So I'd be happy with that. And it kind of, you know, shuts the fans up for a bit in terms of what's owed to Sarukian. But that's just my 2 cents. What the hell do I know? Let's go ahead and move on to, I would say, the biggest topic of the week. The big thing everybody's been waiting for, the legendary. What? They don't even, are you kidding me? They don't even have like a, are you fucking serious? They don't even have a graphic or anything? Wow, this is my first time looking at the page actually. Look, they don't have anything. Anyways, the UFC White House card, the long awaited UFC Freedom Fights 250. I don't know why the fuck they called it that. If you're asking me, that's a very cringe, terrible name. Freedom, UFC Freedom. Okay, see, UFC Freedom 250 isn't terrible, but Freedom Fights 250, that sounds like some knockoff fucking third rate promotion. Like that sounds like, it reminds me of Eagle FC. When I hear Freedom Fights, I think of Eagle FC. They're only here for a few events for certain reasons. No real planning on forwarding that that league. Anyways, yeah, I have a lot to talk about for this card. Obviously, we know the drama surrounding this going forward. Um, and obviously there's a lot of drama before this card even announced in terms of fight negotiations. We had Malky Kawa tweeting things. You had Dana White saying Hunter Campbell fucking killed himself. You do a fight falling through. You got Ariel Helwani on this fucking card. You got McGregor versus Chandler. You got a little bit of everything. You got two fucking Mexicans fighting on here. You got a little bit of everything, man. But yeah, let's go over who we got before I start really rambling about this. You got Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. Interesting choice, like I said, to have a guy named Lopez, their last names being Lopez and Garcia opening the Freedom Fight American card. That's a little interesting if you ask me. But you know, this should be a banger fight for sure. Like this is an absolute banger matchup. I totally understand why they put it there. And you know, Lopez is clearly the UFC's boy. They like to take care of him. They fuck with him. Nothing wrong with that. Up next, we got Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins. I saw a lot of people were really shitting on this card, this fight. Honestly, it's not that bad. This is actually a fight. Dare I say, out of all these fights, the Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins is like the most expected one, I should say. I know a lot of people were shitting on it. Kyle Dawkins should not be on the main card of a 6-fight only, blah, blah. I guess you're right. But come on, guys. Bo Nickel was absolutely going to be on this card, regardless of what you think of him. there was literally like 0% chance he was not going to be on this card. Bo Nickel was obviously and always going to be on this card. Um, and I guess you could argue it's really just the opponent he's facing, Kyle Dawkins. And again, I'm not that mad at that. This fight needed at least like one layup for an American because honestly, looking at these, I don't know. I don't know. Like Chandler's gonna get fucking brutalized in there by Brazilian Conor McGregor. Um, so I'm not mad that they gave Bo Nickel Kyle Dawkins. Nickel was very vocal and open about the fact that they wanted to give him Colby Covington. Obviously, that didn't happen for whatever reason. Maybe Colby didn't want it. That's what Bo Nickel was implying. Uh, I mean, that sucks. I would have loved to see that one Colby versus Bo Nickel kind of pass the torch down as the, I don't know, like the American fighter. I don't fucking know. Um, but yeah, obviously they were probably having trouble finding an opponent for Bo Nickel. Um, one that because if you're not going to give him Colby, you're gonna want to give him an easy win, I would imagine, and it can't be a foreigner just in general because you don't want to risk it. So Kyle Dawkins is a safe option. Again, like I said, I'm not mad at it. Uh, yeah, again, I'm not mad at it. So we're gonna go on to Mauricio Rufy, Michael Chandler. This one's kind of funny to me. I think they're doing right by Michael Chandler by putting him on this White House card. Um, I felt bad for him. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I know everybody hates Michael Chandler, whatever. Dirty fighter. Yes, I fully admit that. That's pretty obvious, but I don't think he's that bad. Okay. He always puts on entertaining fights. He fights like a fucking idiot. Um, and that gives us really entertaining fights. I think it's cool how he clip farms, blowing his dirty ass bloody nose all over Dustin Poirier. That shit's cool to me, man. So I'll always respect Michael Chandler for that. And I think the UFC is doing him dirty by not letting him fight Conor McGregor, truly. Um, but obviously, they said, listen, man, we can't get you McGregor, but we will get you the next best thing. We're going to get you on that White House where you were going to fight McGregor. We're going to get you a guy that fucking looks like McGregor. So they got Michael Chandler versus Mauricio Rufy. Again, I'm not like mad at it. I'm a little surprised by this matchmaking here because there is a solid chance that the American is going to be left fucking colded face down after like a crazy spinning backflip Mr. Miyagi kick from Mauricio Rufy. Yes, he looks like Conor McGregor, but he's not Conor McGregor. He doesn't speak English. He's a fucking Brazilian. So kind of same thing with this Diego Lopez fight. There's a chance that Diego Lopez is going to walk out to probably La Chona. That's a very popular Spanish song, Mexican song. There's a chance he's going to end up winning, and he's going to have his hand raised with that song playing in the background, as well as Mauricio Rufy winning with his hand raised with I don't know what song Rufy plays in the background. But again, I'm just so surprised by these matchups. I didn't even think they would. If they were going to put Sean on here or whatever, I didn't think they would risk like any American losses. Which again, we'll talk about this especially when we get to the main event. But yeah, these two were very shocking matchups for me. Because again, I don't think Chandler's gonna win this one. I don't think he's really a shot here unless he has a true vintage performance. Even then, he's always been a bit chinny. Rufio does Rufio. Rufy does really good against chinny guys. So let's go on to Sean O'Malley versus Ariel Helwani, aka Ayman Zahabi. This is funny. The memes on this one have been making me laugh really hard. Yeah, Ayman Zahabi should not be on the White House card. I get it. Kind of same thing with Kyle Dawkins here. It's less excusable because there were a lot of other options for O'Malley. But I guess I get it. You can't have a Russian on the card, right? I know a lot of people weren't really considering that, but they weren't gonna put fucking Umar on here. Come on, guys. They weren't gonna fucking put Peter Yan on here. Maybe if they were talking about Islam, but if you're not gonna bring all of them, don't bring any of them. I don't know. But I didn't think they were gonna put Peter Yan. If they were gonna bring a Russian, it was gonna be Peter Yan for Yan O'Malley. But once we found out that wasn't happening due to Peter Yan's hand surgery, I kind of knew it was gonna be a gimme. Now I would be lying if I expected fucking Ayman Zahabi. I mean the memes are really funny. I don't know what the fuck he's doing here. Like the polar bear in Arlington, Texas. But like I said, I'm not that mad at it. There is a built-in US versus Canada thing here. And yeah, again, you needed to get an American O'Malley, a showcase matchup against somebody that won't dog him. Like realistically, like there's a good chance the Russians would. Um, so picking a Canadian, Eamon Zahabi, that is not a bad choice at all. He's from Montreal. If he wins, um, he's speaking English in the mic. That might sound a bit shallow, but that's probably something the UFC considered. Steve Garcia also let it be known that before they asked him to be on the card, they asked him about his criminal record. So if criminal records and security clearances and things like that were really put into effect here, which I imagine they were because this is the fucking White House. Um, that probably limited a lot of their fights. Like I imagine people were asking about Hamzat and Strickland. Be fucking real, guys. Hamzat Chimaev was not fighting at the White House. That was never going to happen in a million fucking years. They were going to have this guy go out there and like break Strickland's jaw while yelling Allahu Akbar. That was never going to happen. So I think that explains a lot of these like weird matchups we have. We know Dana's been open about how hard it was to matchmake on this card, but O'Malley's a hobby. That's not honestly that's not that bad. Out of all the funky fights they have on here, like Lopez Garcia and fucking Rufy Chandler, Zahabi O'Malley isn't really the worst thing they could have done. Like I said, the U.S. Canada thing that kind of works. The timing of that, they kind of lucked out with that, in my opinion, if you ask me. Then we're on to the co-main event. This is where it gets really interesting. We got Alex Pereira, who vacated his light heavyweight belt, taking on Ciryl Gane for the interim heavyweight title. Now, this whole thing is interesting. It's very layered. I feel like I could do a whole separate video on this on its own. There's just a lot to talk about with this. This kind of comes on the heels of Tom Aspinall, quote unquote, signing with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Agency. Now, I think that's a big. We're going to talk about that too. I think that's a big nothing burger, if you ask me. Tom Aspinall didn't sign to shit. What happened was Eddie Hearn finessed him, and now Tom isn't splitting his paycheck with his daddy. He's splitting it with Eddie Hearn and his dad. So I don't. As far as I know, the way contracts work, once you're signed to one, you're signed to one. Yeah, there's probably leeway and stuff, but Eddie said Tom has a few more fights on his contract. So what is Eddie really there for? Anyways, because of that happened, honestly, I thought Dana and the UFC were going to strip Tom Aspinall. I really thought it was about to happen. Luckily, it didn't. I'm a Tom fan. So Tom didn't get stripped, luckily. But once we saw that Pereira vacated his belt, it was all but confirmed that he was going to be fighting at heavyweight for a belt. Now, the real question is against who? John Jones, Ciryl Gane. At the time, Ngannou got released by the PFL, so that was pretty interesting too. I mean, I think everyone with a brain knew Ngannou will never end up back at the UFC, but there was some hope there. Come to find out, this is what it was. It was Pereira versus Ciryl Gane. They couldn't come to an agreement with John Jones. From what I'm seeing here, they offered him 15 million instead of the 30 million that they offered him with Tom Aspinall, and Jones wasn't good with that. He wanted his 30 million. I don't really care how much these guys get paid, to be honest, other than I just wish they get paid enough so we get more better athletic fighters. But I think that's the reason why they put Gane in here to fight Pereira. I mean, there's really nobody else, guys, for them to do it. They could have fucking brought up Gable Stevenson, I guess. I don't know, or Curtis Blades, whatever. But the signs were always there. It was going to be Pereira Gane. There was training footage Gane let out of him doing takedowns and stuff. I saw somebody quote tweeted that the fact that he was practicing his takedowns, Ciryl Gane was, that confirmed that he was going to be fighting Pereira, and that seems to be true. It's a very interesting matchup. Although I wish it was against John Jones or Tom Aspinall. Ideally, John Jones. Honestly, I'm more interested in Pereira Jones than Pereira Aspinall, to be honest. Because if Pereira wins this fight, it just brings. There's a lot of questions here, right? He would be the very first 3-division champion, interim or not. Nobody's even done anything close to that. It makes you wonder, where do you rank him? Because it to this day, it still feels like, I mean, yeah, it is true. Pereira hasn't fought a true blue grappler / wrestler yet. The closest was Ankalaev, and even then, everybody, Ankalaev himself referred to himself as a striker. I find that very interesting. Although I've always been one of the guys that said I think Pereira probably has decent grappling low key. The fact that he stopped Ankalaev from taking him down, I think, proves that. People completely overestimate just how powerful and beneficial it is to have a coach slash training partner that is Glover Teixeira. He's a guy that fought these guys in this weight class that he was already in. And it just so happens his specialty is where Pereira's weakness lies. And this guy is the same fucking size as you and everyone else in your division. So he can actually show you how to practically do some moves in a fight against somebody that size. Um, I truly do feel like people overlook that for Pereira. Um, but obviously, fighting a Surreal Gone is a more beneficial matchup than a John Jones, right? It's more of an even uh, field, I guess I should say. We know Gone will. No, when has Gone ever done an offensive takedown? Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, I was going to say we know Gone will grapple, but that's not even true. Uh, we know Gone has been wrestle fucked before. We know Pereira has been attempted to be wrestle fucked before. They're both strikers, kickboxers. I think Gone had more success in kickboxing than Pereira did, if I remember correctly. So that's a very good matchup. It's too early to tell who's going to win that one. Honestly, I have to lean Surreal Gone, just because he's the bigger and probably more powerful striker, I would imagine. But who knows? We got to see Pereira at heavyweight properly. But damn, man, it really sucks we didn't get that John Jones fight, because imagine if Pereira goes out there and beats John Jones for an interim belt. Would that make him the greatest of all time? Would it not? I mean, it would seem like pound for pound, not really. There's probably a lot of dream matchups at size parity that would get Pereira destroyed, but he would be the true definition of pound for pound by having a belt in across three different weight classes. So it brings a lot of interesting conversations of what exactly is a GOAT in this sport. A sport as splintered as this, where there's a lot of different pathways to success, where there seemingly isn't a blueprint of physical stats and skills that you can have to truly succeed, just due to all the variables. Um, but it just kind of brings up that conversation, which I always have fun talking about and kind of looking into. And yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling here. There's, like I said, there's not really much to talk about with this. We haven't seen any training footage, anything like that, other than Pereira has been leaking him going to heavyweight for like the last year. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I'm excited to see how big he gets. Is he going to look? I feel like Pereira always looks lean. Even at light heavyweight, he looked lean. I'm curious if he's going to look lean or if he's going to look buff for heavyweight. Is it truly his natural weight class, like people are saying? We're going to find out. I know Gone and Pereira have faced off before, but again, none of that really means anything until you're actually signed to fight. That's when you can really, that's when the body language experts can really kind of step in. Um, but yeah, a lot of people were talking about, oh, there's not an American on this fight. Who gives a fuck? Pereira enough is a big enough name that he kind of carries that anyways. All my true casual friends, they know of Alex Pereira. They know Chama. They know all that. Even vaguely, they know of him. So they know Gone as a guy who fucking eye gouged Sean Aspinall. So that's not a bad shout at all. I'm a little surprised it's the co-main event, not gonna lie. If it were for the actual heavyweight title, probably be main event, but pretty solid co-main if you ask me. Now let's go to this main event bout. This is what I really want to talk about. Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. There was a lot of talk about this fight going into it this week. Like I said, Malky Kawa made an interesting tweet. It's been a long time since I had some nighttime negotiations. When you hear the story, you won't believe me. And Malky is John Jones and Ilia Topuria's manager. And yeah, I'm trying to think where to start here with this story. I guess seemingly this fight came together very last second. Justin himself said he didn't know who was going to be on the card until the day before. We don't know with Ilia, but it seems like the fight that fell through that Dana was talking about, that Hunter and the matchmakers were reacting to on stage, based on everything we've seen, wasn't John Jones, but it was Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. As much as I would have loved that fight, I'm not surprised it didn't happen, to be honest. I guess Islam was injured, so no negotiations actually took place other than asking Ilia if he would be interested, and Ilia saying yes. So Ilia's kind of taking a victory lap, and you know what? I don't blame him. Now, I'm not saying Islam is ducking or anything. In fact, I'll just say it now. I think Islam absolutely smokes Ilia Topuria. I don't think it's really close there. Um, but Islam is injured. He said no. Ilya said yes. Point blank. That's what happened. Ilya's allowed to take the victory lap here. This has happened twice now, where he's called out Islam before news comes out that's preventing Islam to fight him, whether that be moving up a weight class or an injury. Again, it's not fair. I'm not saying Islam is actually ducking Ilya. I don't believe that for a fucking second. But Ilya is allowed to take his victory lap here. That's the game. It's all about optics, and he kind of took the dub in the media here. You know what? Let me see if I can pull up his tweet, his message that he said to Justin Gaethje, because I got to say this. I was a fan of WWE and all that growing up, so I'm a fucking sucker for these promos, especially the ones by Ilia Topuria. I really like what he does here. Where the hell is it? Is it not coming up? Here we go. Sorry, I just want to look at this tweet. Once again, Islam comes up with an excuse. This time it's an injury. I always knew I would be part of the White House event, even when the UFC told me at one point that they wouldn't count on me for the event. I knew it was part of the negotiation. When they finally told me I would be on the White House card, they mentioned Islam, and I didn't hesitate for a second to accept the fight. Even though the fight hadn't been officially confirmed yet, the White House card was going to be announced the next day. And when I woke, I found out that Islam had gotten injured. And then Justin Gaethje appeared. Once again, someone else who will pay for Islam's escape. Both of their manager is a bitch and also ugly as hell. That's hilarious. I feel like Ilya says that a lot. He calls people ugly as hell often. That's a funny bit right there. I'm a fan of that. Justin, see you soon at the White House. I'm not someone who humiliates people. It will be quick. When you wake up, everything will already be over. That's just a fire line by him, man. It's kind of going viral here. 132K likes. It's just a fire line by Ilia Topuria. If you disagree, maybe you think I'm glazing a bit too much. I could be, but that's just a good fucking line by Ilya, man. And again, as I was saying earlier, this is very interesting matchmaking. I did not think they would put Justin Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria. I saw there were rumors that they were talking about it. But again, I was under the impression they wanted Americans winning. You don't want the visual of a Spanish-speaking, brown-skinned man standing over the unconscious corpse of an American, a true blue American. You know, yeah, I just didn't think that would happen because, yeah, Gaethje could come out of the clutch and win this, but you know, um, anybody that's watched both of these guys fight will assume Ilia Topuria is going to viciously knock out Justin Gaethje. So I am very shocked by that matchmaking there. Uh, I mean, yeah, who knows? Gaethje could pull it off, but I think they're really banking on the Americans to kind of carry for the rest of the card. Obviously, Bo's going to win. I don't know if Steve Garcia is going to win. This is a banger matchup. He could, but I don't know. Chandler's going to fucking lose pretty bad. O'Malley should win, but if he loses to fucking Amin Zahabi, that will be a disaster. There's no American here, and odds are Gaethje's going to get slept back. So, kind of confusing matchmaking there. Not what I would have expected. I would have expected shameless layups, which we got a few. One could argue this one could be that. But yeah, overall, as a fight card on its own, if we were to isolate this from the White House, from the freedom fights or whatever the fuck, this is a very good card. A very, very good card. Like if this were UFC 327, holy shit, we'd be losing our mind. If this were International Fight Week, this would be a fucking banger. It's not a bad card by any means. It's just the fact that it's a White House card. It's kind of ass. They hyped it up so much, like the Sphere on steroids, on crack. It is not that. I mean, Amin Zahabi, is that the Sphere on crack to you guys? Is that the Sphere on steroids to you guys? Kyle Dawkins, Steve Garcia, no offense. It's not. And that's okay. Again, I'm going to be watching these fights, obviously, but it seemed like that no matter what they did, this card was never going to deliver. They could have got Ilya versus Islam. I kind of agree with the sentiment. If it wasn't Conor McGregor or if it wasn't John Jones, this fight card wasn't going to deliver in terms of the casual appeal that everybody was expecting because you had non-MMA fans asking, uh, you guys, MMA fans, about this card. I had people asking me that never watched MMA or anything like that prior. They were wondering who's going to be on it. And the fact that there's no names on here that they can recognize, maybe Pereira, maybe O'Malley, that's just not a good look necessarily. Obviously, like I said, it's a very good card. For me to try to shit on this card would be silly. I think it's good. It's just that it was hyped up so much. There was really no possible way for this to deliver, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it's pretty good. Apparently, there may be one more fight added to it. I think Ariel was kind of hinting at that it might be Gable Steveson. Not a bad call. I don't know who you can have him fight there, but yeah, we might get one more fight added to it. But otherwise, this is it. This is our White House card, the thing we've been waiting for this whole time. Um, John Jones is very unhappy. He's not involved in this, clearly. Uh, McGregor kind of seemed unhappy too. I mean, we all knew McGregor said it perfectly that we're never going to put him on this card. Looks like Daddy Dana didn't want to give Jones his money for the White House. LOL. Yeah, you're right. Dana just didn't want to pay the bill, which I guess I get it. Honestly, it's a one-time event. He's going to retire. Why would you pay the guy 30 million for a retirement fight after he already fucked you over with the Aspinall thing? I kind of get that on principle, but dare I say this card needed it? I mean, obviously they don't need anybody, and they've shown that they don't give a fuck. They'll throw on something like this. Not to say this is a bad card, but for the White House, everybody was expecting John Jones. Let's be real. You could say McGregor and all that too, but John Jones, he's the American guy. I thought he was going to be on here. I truly did. Um, but yeah, it looks like the UFC, they didn't want to pay. They didn't want to pay him, and yeah, do I think they should have given him 30 million? Um, I mean, probably, but again, like I said, I don't blame them at all for not doing it because they offered him that money already and he said no. So it's kind of like, fuck you. Why are we going to do that again? You already said no. You already threw that back in our face. You're not getting away with it again. So uh, Dana was pretty adamant that it was ever going to be Jones. I doubt that. I don't believe that for 1 second. Um, but yeah, I mean, there are some other interesting fights they could have done. Like I said, Ngannou was on the free market right before they announced this. Obviously, they were never going to sign him. You got Rico, that would have been good. Gable, a lot of interesting guys that could have gone in this card. But again, we don't know what really went into this. We don't know what security clearances mattered, what criminal records mattered. We know Steve Garcia mentioned that. And if that's the case, if you couldn't have a criminal record, then John Jones would have never been allowed there in the fucking first place. Um, but yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of bamboozled by some of this matchmaking, like Michael Chandler versus Mauricio Rufy. This really feels like we can't get you Conor McGregor, so we get you Conor McGregor from Wish, Brazilian Conor McGregor. This matchup is just mind blowing to me, truly, because there's like a 90% chance Michael Chandler is gonna be rendered unconscious, fucking bad. Um, I don't know. He's the one that accepted it. Whatever. He's probably just happy to be on the White House card. UFC Freedom 250. Again, I think it's kind of a shitty name, if you ask me. And I think the fact they don't have a graphic up here, that probably proves that the graphics they were showing actually was AI. Because why don't they have it up? Um, it's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of ratchet as hell. Look, they don't have anything up here. Um, Whatever, man. I'm excited. I'm gonna watch it. I'm pretty interested. How do I register my interest? Can I apply to fucking go? What do you guys think? You think they're gonna give the open mat show a press pass to the fucking White House lawn? Maybe. I'll give it a go. Uh, but yeah, those are my thoughts on the card. It's not bad. It's not bad. I think it's an actual good. I'm sure everybody's been saying this. It's a good standalone card, but for everything that hyped up for the White House, it ain't all that. But it makes you wonder, could they have even delivered what they promised? There aren't even that many known names anymore. Without the guys from the olden days. Hard felt rushed, but I'm very excited. I agree. I agree. That's pretty much how I see it. It feels very rushed, but I'm excited for it nonetheless. Like I'm not gonna miss it. I'm not gonna fucking protested or whatever the hell. I am gonna watch it. I'm a fight fan at the end of the day, and these are good fucking fights. Um, these are very good fights. Some of these are showcase fights, but these are good fights. And I want to see the production. I mean, that alone is very interesting. How are they going to have the camera set up? Um, hell, right. It's going to be an outside event, right? When have they ever done that before? Um, there's just a lot of questions on this logistically and, you know, actual fight wise. It's a must see regardless if you're a fight fan. So we'll see if another fight gets added on it. Who knows? I still truly believe if John Jones comes in, okay, I'll do it for a lot less. They'll swap one of these motherfuckers out. Probably Surreal gone. We'll see. But as of now, out of 5 stars, I'll give it. If it were standalone again, I would give it 4 or 5. But as the White House card, I'm giving it a 3, solid 3. I would say it's a mid card, White House card. Um, I unless Pereira wins, I would say the White House part is what's carrying the historicness of it, um, how good it is. Otherwise, it's just a very good card on its own. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts on that. So, uh, I guess we're gonna move on to talking about, yeah, I'm just gonna go over quick picks here for the fight night this weekend. Sheesh. I mean, it ain't the best card, so I'm not really gonna go over the whole thing at all. Fucking Harry Hardwick, bro. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, guys. We're probably just gonna go over this main event. I'm not gonna sit here and try to break all this down. I mean, this is pretty interesting. I guess Fili versus Delgado, but yeah, ain't nobody trying to talk about Steven Aspla. Yeah, Dawkins v. Bo is strange. See, I was actually saying that one isn't that weird to me, if I'm being honest. I didn't think Dawkins, Bo was that weird. Now, the reason for that is because I knew Bo Nickel was gonna be on it, like, regardless. He was always gonna be one of those 6 names on there. He's one of the few American names that is recognizable outside of MMA. Um, like I have a Penn State diehard fan. He just loves Penn State everything. He knew Bo Nickel. He kind of just transfers over into that realm a little bit. So having him there, that just made sense. That just made sense. But I did think it was going to be against Colby. I will say if they weren't going to do Bo versus Colby, I thought they were just going to have Colby doing something else. Again, I'm surprised they didn't put him on the card at all. I feel like they're kind of doing him a little bit dirty. You know, you dedicate your whole gimmick for years. You're American. You're my guy. You're fucking Colby fucking Covington. You're Trump's favorite fighter, and you're not on the fucking card. That's a little messed up. Not gonna lie, but who cares about fucking Colby Covington, right? I mean, per Bo, they tried to get Bo v Colby, and Colby didn't want to do it. Which, if I'm Colby, I'm just doing it, and I'm retiring and competing at RAF for the rest of my career, win or lose. But if that's the case, Colby didn't actually want it, then that's on him, right? That's all on him. He had the chance and he didn't take it. Uh, but yeah, I'm not surprised they picked Kyle Dawkins because if you're not going to do Bo versus Colby, you got to give Bo a showcase matchup, a layup matchup. And Kyle Dawkins is an American, and he, I would say, fulfills that category. A tough enough fight. He'll make Bo look legit, but Bo should win that pretty easily. That's all that is. So I'm not that mad at that. I thought there would be more matchups like that. Dare I say? I thought there'd be more like I thought there'd be more established American versus absolute nobody. But I guess there's a bit more you could say. Maybe like maybe you could say O'Malley Zahabi, but Zahabi's ranked number 6. You know, that ain't exactly the same as Kyle fucking Dawkins on the main card. Um, like I said, honestly, I'm more baffled at this Rufy Chandler matchup. Truly, like that makes no sense to me. Um, like in what world is they're like Rufy is gonna slaughter Chandler in there? I just don't. I don't see unless they're really banking on building up Rufy, but like if you thought McGregor Chandler was gonna be on the card and you're a very casual MMA fan and you happen to tune in and see this, you probably might think this is Conor McGregor for a split second. Maybe that's what they're banking on. I don't fucking know. Um, it's just interesting. It's just interesting. Um, but yeah, let me go over my pick. I guess I don't know. I might drop a pick video on this Friday probably. Um, but let me go ahead and start with. I'll just talk about the main event right now. We got Josh Emmett versus Kevin Vallejos. I'll probably go with Kevin if I'm being real. Josh is good. He's a good boxer and striker, but I think that plays into Kevin's hands. I think he's better with the hands straight up. He's a better striker, in my opinion. They just gave Chandler a Brazilian Connor. Pretty much. That's why I think it's so fucking funny. Like, it almost seems like the meme. Listen, man, we can't get you Connor. We can't get you the name brand, but we do have the Walmart or Great Value brand here. We could give you that. And I guess McGregor, or I guess Chandler said yeah. Again, it's just odd to me because McGregor wanted Chandler. Chandler wanted McGregor. The fans probably didn't care either way, but I personally wouldn't have minded McGregor Chandler. And if your goal is to get McGregor a win, Michael Chandler is that fucking guy. He's gonna fight dumb, chin up in the air. He's gonna try to strike, and his greatest weakness happens to be sharp left hands, which just so happens McGregor is very good at that, and he has that. So uh, I don't know. I don't know what their plan is for McGregor. Maybe fight Charles or whoever. It's just very interesting what they're gonna do, and I guess we'll see for International Fight Week. Uh, anyways, uh, Josh Emmett, Kevin Vallejos. I got Kevin here. I mean, I just think Kevin's better with the hand. Josh could do some tricky veteran stuff and mix in his grappling and you know, really make it dirty and kind of catch Kevin there. But I think Kevin's very refined on the feet. His takedown defense is pretty solid as well, dare I say. And Josh isn't the guy to kind of expose the grappling defense, in my opinion. So Kevin's probably going to win this via unanimous decision. He might be able to finish Josh. Josh doesn't handle combos too well in sequence. Um, but you never know. He has power. But he's getting older. He's getting a little bit slower, I feel like. Each fight, he gets a little bit slower and slower. So uh, I'll probably go with Kevin here. Where Josh has a reach, it looks like, but honestly, it's not really much. Uh, yeah, this car ain't all that. If I'm being honest, guys, this car is not all that. I'm trying to take a look who we got on here. Your oral by okay, Chris Curtis back on here. Oki, Sousa. I don't think I know who that is. Mosquita, Rendon. Okay, I know these ladies. Elijah Smith versus Su Young Yu. I know them. I don't think I know these two. I don't know these two. Sousa and Sosa. I don't know those two. I remember these guys. Of course, I know these two. This is a pretty solid fight. Chris Curtis versus Oral by. That'll be a banger. That's a low key banger right there on the prelims. Tavares versus Anders. That one won't be bad either. Charles Johnson versus Bruno Silva. That's pretty good. Um, but I'm not gonna lie, this main card is kind of stinky, man. Uh, I mean, these fights themselves actually should be pretty good, maybe until here. But in terms of name value and anticipation going into it, this card has none of that. I mean, your biggest name on here is fucking Josh Emmett and Kevin Vallejos, maybe Chris Curtis. Uh, That's all right though, right? We're not all here. We're the real hardcores. We're the fight fans. Okay, we're not here to fucking watch Paddy Pimblett. We're here to watch Harry Hardwick and Kevin Vallejos and Amanda Lemos. We're the real UFC hardcores, right? Uh, yeah, yeah. This ain't the best. So what's their next event? What's their next event? I want to see. Is it 327 next? Okay, Evlov Murphy is pretty good. This is actually a pretty solid card. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the card we have this weekend. I can't get too far ahead of myself. Um, like I said, I got Vallejos there. For Lemos and Jillian Robertson, Jillian's been on a pretty solid run lately, but every fucking time I pick against Lemos, she keeps winning. Lemos will just forever keep beating any quote unquote up and coming prospects. They just don't stand a chance when it comes to uh, women's MMA. They're all the same skill level and they've all been the fucking same skill level for a long time. And Amanda Lemos keeps proving that. So until Jillian and other fighters can prove otherwise, I will always choose Amanda Lemos because she keeps fucking checking these ladies, dude, and it just kills like any hope for the division. You have Laba versus Umar Sai. This is a pretty good one. I mean, Laba can be pretty chinny, so I am gonna go with Umar Sy. I mean, these are just kind of quick picks here. Let's go with the Umar Sy. I think. I mean, also if you just kind of look at the record too, Umar Sy should win this one for sure. Cutelaba could throw some crazy shit and really make it messy and try to overwhelm Umar Sy, but I think Umar Sy will be able to handle Cutelaba pretty handily. So I got Umar Sy there. I got Jose Miguel Delgado, dude. He's fucking good on the feet, man. Honestly, I see him finishing Feely. Feely can be good as well, and he can be deadly as well. But he gets hit, man. He gets hit. He's tall, but he gets hit. Um, I can see Delgado just piecing him up to the body, working the body, moving his way up. Um, yeah, Delgado's he's a proper prospect, man. I know he lost his last one, but he's solid. He's solid. Let me see. Who did he even fight his last fight? Wood, Nathaniel Wood. Yeah, 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 okay. Yeah, see that's a valid L right there. So this Feely fight should be pretty good, but I would imagine as long as Delgado made the right adjustments and properly leveled up his game, he should be able to beat Feely, but who knows? Feely's kind of all over the place sometimes. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not, I feel like. Um, I guess it depends which Feely shows up, but I feel like Feely hasn't really been that guy for a little while now. So I got Delgado here. Could be wrong, but I think he's gonna end up breaking Feely down. Harry Hardwick versus Marwan Rahiki. I don't know. I guess I'll go with Harry Hardwick. Honestly, the Hardwick guys, Hardwick bros. I know he was talking a lot of shit and had a very um fitting L. A lot of people like to see that, but I think it was on short notice if I remember correctly. So there's kind of some slack there. He's actually pretty solid otherwise, aside from that performance, right? So yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go with Harry Hardwick. Uh, yeah, yeah. See, yeah, he did that on short notice. So I'm gonna go with Harry Hardwick just because I'm giving him another chance. His last fight was on short notice. He did quit and all that, whatever. But yeah, this is a guy who's making his fucking or this isn't his debut. His last fight was his debut. Or is this his debut? Yeah, yeah, this is his straight up his debut. So who knows? This guy could be all that, but I trust Harry Hardwick. He is actually pretty experienced, a lot more experience than this guy. And this guy has to prove himself. He's professionally 1-0. That is batshit insane. Was his first fight on Contender Series? Is that actually what happened? Oh, I dead ass. I think his first fight, his first professional fight. No, no, there we go. 7-0. Okay. So I saw 1-0 and I was like, no way they have a guy signed to the UFC with only one professional fight. He's 7-0. Okay. So he's probably 1-0 with Dana White's Contender Series. Um, but he could be really good. I think I remember his fight too. I think I wobbled a little bit, but Hardwick is even though he didn't look too good in his last one, his debut. Hardwick is a solid test for a debutante. So I'm gonna have to go with Hardwick. We'll find out if Rahiki's really about that. Talk about Vitor Petrino versus Steven Asplund. I don't really remember Asplund, if I'm being fully honest with you guys. I'm trying to think. Um, yeah, let me see. Okay, so ah, I don't I don't think I fully remember this fight, guys. I mean, yeah, I would be lying if I said I remembered Sharov versus Asplund. I would be lying if I said I did. Um, I mean, I'm gonna go with Petrino. I don't know how good this Asplund guy is. I'm just gonna be honest with you there. I don't really know. Call me casual. I don't fucking know who Steven Asplund is. Um, so I'm gonna have to go with Petrino. Petrino's not bad per se, but like I feel like I mean he's the better of the brothers, I guess. How long has he been at heavyweight? Because he hasn't been at heavyweight this whole time. Yeah. Now that he's at heavyweight, I think that's a good move for him. Um, shoot, is this heavyweight? Jesus, guys, I might be light heavyweight. I'm retarded, guys. I'm embarrassed, bro. Freaking hot in here. Light heavyweight. Which one moved to heavyweight? Was it his brother that moved to heavyweight? Anyways, let me restart what I was saying then. I got Petrino just because yeah, he's a more established guy. I was about to say I know he has good grappling. And I don't really know anything about Asplund. Truly, I'm trying to. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm kind of blanking here, guys. What do you guys think? Is Asplin the fucking is he the underdog of the week? Is he the pick of the week? Um yeah, I mean, I just got to go with Petrino here. He's like the more established guy that I know. Um Asplin did win his last fight via KO, and this is the higher weight class, so you never know. But I would imagine Petrino could keep himself safe from some striking from Asplin and, probably take him down and grapple him. We don't know how, I don't know how good this guy's grappling is, but uh, the physique doesn't bode well, in my opinion, when you compare the two. So I am going to go Petrino here. He just looks more like a unit, and I feel like if he wants, a lot of these heavier guys don't really have a good grappling game. Petrino could probably take him down and submit him. So yeah, I mean, that's the end of the main card there. Like I said, it ain't all that. I'm gonna be watching it and live tweeting it during it, like I always do. But really, this main event is what we're interested in, and even that it doesn't really have that much weight in the future, the immediate future of this featherweight division. Because yeah, Vallejos is a prospect, but he's ranked 14. So even with the good win here, he's not going to get that much of a rub slash boost from it. But yeah, that's kind of all the stuff for UFC this week. I would like to talk about the news of Ngannou fighting on the MVP card, the Netflix card on the co-main of Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. He will be fighting Felipe Lins, making his MMA return. As you all know, he was released by the PFL, sunset clause or whatever, I don't know. And now he's fighting on Netflix. There's nothing to really talk about in terms of this fight. He's above Lins' caliber in a lot of ways, skill wise and name value wise. But realistically, there wasn't really any other heavyweights for Ngannou to fight out there that were interesting enough, at a big enough name. But the reason I want to talk about this is because I'm seeing a big sentiment on Twitter, online, and stuff that Ngannou fumbled the bag. That maybe Dana was right about this guy. Maybe Ngannou's a fucking dick, this and that. I kind of want to kind of defend Ngannou a little bit, glaze a little bit. Um, I think it's a little fucking crazy to say Dana was absolutely correct when literally the last 3 heavyweight champions have all been fucking fumbled. Let's go back. We got Francis Ngannou, right? We know how that went down. Then you have John Jones. They couldn't get him in Aspinall. We know how that went down. And now you have the Tom Aspinall thing working out the way it is. That is literally 3 consecutive heavyweight champions that the UFC has seemingly pushed out. So how can we say in good faith that it's Ngannou doing it when the common denominator in all of these situations is the UFC? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that Ngannou was exactly who he portrayed himself to be. I knew from the jump when Ngannou was like fighter pay and blah, blah, blah. He didn't give a fuck about fighter pay. He cared about Ngannou pay. Just using fighter pay as a vehicle to push that message. And you know what? Good for him. Good for him, right? I don't really care. I mean, like I said, from the jump, it was pretty obvious. This guy didn't actually care about fighter pay. He just wanted to pay for himself, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't really care. Um, I do think he deserves to be worth like millions. I believe all these fighters truly do. And I understand there's a business side of it. Ngannou simply didn't bring that in. But Ngannou brought that in more than a lot of these other guys. I would say Ngannou's more of a casual name than Tom Aspinall is. My friends, my true casual friends, they knew of Francis Ngannou. They knew that fucking guy. Hell, they put him in Jackass, right? Do you think they're putting Tom Aspinall in Jackass 4? No, they're not doing that. Ngannou lies in a weird gray area of casual, having casual reach, but not enough to actually get them to watch his fights, if that makes sense. Like I said, all my friends know Ngannou, but I think the only fight they ever watched was him versus Surreal Gone because I kind of dragged them with me to the bar to watch it. And that wasn't really the most entertaining fight. So, uh, anyways, I just think it's ridiculous to say that Ngannou's the one that fumbled the bag when, and he said it the best, right? The legacy is your kids and family at home. Legacy doesn't pay the bills. Legacy doesn't buy groceries from the store. And a lot of people can say that, whatever, but it hits even harder when Ngannou says that because it's not like he never had the belt or he never was in the UFC. He had that fucking belt. And he is still the lineal champ to this day. He never fucking lost it. So he literally had it both. He had the belt, he had the legacy, has a legacy, and went and got the money. He got both of it. He got the best of both worlds. He won, as far as I'm concerned. He won that game. And now he's still raking in probably a really big paycheck fighting on Netflix. So to say that he quote unquote fumbled the bag is just wrong. He left as the undisputed heavyweight UFC champion. He wasn't undefeated, but you know what I mean. He still had the belt. Um, he beat Tyson Fury in boxing. Lost Anthony Joshua, but we don't talk about that. He was drugged, the fumes in the locker room. That Saudi Arabian finessing. Turkey set him up. I'm joking. But low key though. Anyways, and then he goes on to fight Renan Ferreira for a good amount of money, and now he's fighting fucking Felipe Lins for probably a good amount of money. It's hard to say that guy fumbled the bag. I would say the opposite. He realized the bag, he got it. And I'm not saying that I don't want to see him in the UFC. I want to see him in the UFC bad, bro. To me, everyone talks about Tom v. John as the fight that got away. For me, the fight that got away, the fight that I'll forever be thinking about, prime John Jones versus prime Francis Ngannou. To me, those are the two baddest guys in the fucking world, best fighters in the world in their primes. And unfortunately, we won't know who's the best between the two of them. We might find out. Who knows? Jones might end up getting what he wants. He might end up getting released. I highly, highly doubt it, but he might. But the world where we see Ngannou v. Jones is more likely to happen than it was a month ago, let's say. But yeah, I mean, good for Ngannou. I don't really care that he's fighting Felipe Lins. He should win. If he loses, that would be a disaster. But I'm glad to see Ngannou is fighting again, man. I'm happy to see him out there. I just want to see him fight, dude. I truly believe Prime Ngannou was like the best fighter ever. Maybe not skill for skill or anything like that, but just he had intangibles, the power, the durability, the size. It just made him better than anybody he came across. And it's a shame we didn't get to see that more. Just especially with the guys we have now, Pereira, Tom, fucking Gable, maybe. It's just a shame. But shoot, I mean, yeah, I guess that's what I think of that. I don't think I really have much more to talk about, guys. That was a pretty short show. Um, Again, like I said, I don't really have much to talk about. Let me check Twitter. I always like to check Twitter before I end the show. There might be some breaking news or something like that. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Where's this at? Okay, Arnold Allen versus Melchizedek Costa. Okay, that's in May though, so it doesn't seem like there's any new breaking news or anything. I'm not missing anything. Let me see. Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to see if anything broke. Usually, news likes to break on Wednesday night for whatever reason. I'm not seeing anything. So yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really have much else, guys. That'll probably be it for today. I guess maybe did you guys see RAF Colby Covington versus Dylan Dennis? That's pretty interesting. I'm gonna watch that. I'm a fan of Dylan Dennis, guys. I don't care. I think they should bring him into the UFC, let him fight fucking John Pork, and then kick him to the curb, whatever. I respect his gimmick to be hated by everybody. He's truly committed to that bit. But I digress. I got Survivor to go watch, guys. I hope you guys have been tuning into Survivor this season. There were some cool crossovers. I don't know how many of us exist. I don't know how many Survivor/UFC fans are out there in the world. I am one of them. So the fact that they did a fucking UFC X Survivor crossover during the broadcast, I was geeked. I mean, that's something I only envisioned in my head. And one day we're going to see like O'Malley or somebody on Survivor. But if you're a fan of Survivor, comment down below, like, subscribe. Just let me know how many of us are out here. How many Survivor/UFC fans are out here? They tend to attract two different audiences. So I was a little surprised they even put money into wanting to do a crossover promo like that. I really don't know how many of us overlap. But yeah, like I said, I got to go watch Survivor, guys. Survivor 50, bunch of returning players. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, my name is Matt. This is the Open Matt Show. Follow me over on X. Oh, shoot. Oops, sorry. Follow me over on X at Open Matt Show Live. I live tweet during the fights all the time. I react to news live and quick over there. If you want to argue with me or you disagree with the take I have here, come see me over there. I'll respond to you a lot quicker than comments over here. And yeah, again, thanks for tuning in, guys. Truly, every view, every interaction, everything, it goes a very, 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 very long way. We are a tiny channel. I have 48 subscribers, as you can see. I set 100. I set like a 3-month goal to maybe hit 100. I don't even think I'm gonna hit that. So truly, guys, any interaction, any comment, any like, everything, it goes such a long way. Share it with your friends if you have friends that like MMA. And yeah, I'll see you guys next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Every fucking Wednesday, I will always be live. Like, subscribe. I keep saying I'm gonna upload some other videos, but I never get to it. One of these days, I'm gonna start. I got close last weekend. I just never filmed the video, but I got the thumbnail and everything ready. So maybe this weekend, I inch closer and closer to it. Maybe this weekend I'll get one up. But yeah, seriously, thanks for tuning in, guys. I love yapping about fights, whether to myself or whether to whoever's watching. Um, yeah, just thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, all that. I keep repeating myself. Follow me over on X. Yeah, I will see you guys next time. Watch Survivor. Goodbye. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. See you.